everybody. Welcome to another episode of Chamber Chat. I got another special guest in the car with me today, so I'll let her introduce herself and we will kick it off from there.
All right. I'm Kate Dillon, and I'm opening up a shop in downtown called 1972. It's going to be vintage, resale, home decor, and gifts also, like some new like candles and cosmetics and
Awesome.
all that type of fun stuff.
So I've done a bunch of these Chamber Chats, and normally I at least meet, the people beforehand. This is literally like the first time we've met.
Yeah.
We've never met before. So this is going to be a good one. Real surprise stuff.
Yeah,
so,
you know nothing about me.
I know. And congratulations for getting into a car with a stranger.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here? This is a bit weird. Anyway, 1972. Tell us what's going on. What's all that about?
So, I've lived in Corvallis for a very long time. I got here mostly when I was a junior in high school. It was like our second stint in Corvallis.
Okay.
I've been here ever since. I went to Oregon State. I started working at Second Glance, which is a consignment shop in downtown that's
awesome.
been there for eons.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy and Jessica are just like the smartest business people. I've been learning from them and working there and falling in love with resale. I started in 2011, and yeah, I was there on and off. I had like other jobs in between, but I couldn't stay away from kind of like the downtown atmosphere, the small like family-owned shop. I just loved it, and like I said, I love resale. I love the whole concept of like consignment and the revolving closet, and
I love it.
And then I briefly worked at Revolve downtown as well, and gosh, Erica is just brilliant businesswoman. Learned so much from her too in the time I was there, and it kind of was like, all right, I had always wanted to have my own shop. It's been something my mom and I kind of shared a passion for since I was little. I grew up like going to garage sales with her and antiquing with her, and she always wanted to have a shop and has been collecting for one, but we moved around so much that she never really had her chance to like put down roots and do that. And so it was kind of the pandemic that made me finally realize like it's just my fear of failure that I'm not doing this myself.
Nice.
And so I kind of was like, man, I'm just not afraid anymore.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. This is the time. And I really like, my kids are creative and love clothes, and like they are gonna get to be around, and yeah, I want that like lifestyle for them. I want them to be able to be shop kids while they're at the ages they're at, and they're both in school, so I have more time and
a little freedom during the day.
Kind of like the stars aligned for just me putting my own like brand out there.
Sure. So now why vintage? Why 1972? Is that year mean something specific, or?
So this business morphed from, I used to do flowers. I did like event florals and like flower subscriptions.
Right on.
I delivered to like a few little shops downtown, and then a few people had subscriptions, and then I would do weddings and things like that. So 1972 is more tied into the flower world.
Okay.
And there is a horticulture college in the Netherlands that the first year they ever offered a diploma in flower arranging was 1972. And I love the 70s, love that whole like vibe, love the music.
Yeah.
And so I was like, perfect. And I like dates. I just liked how the date sounded. So
that's cool.
Anyway, settled on 1972, and then when I morphed towards, what I'm doing now, I was kind of stuck with it. I had my Instagram growing already. I just didn't want to start from scratch.
Like, sure.
Scrap everything that I had done and built. So.
And I love your logo too. Super cool logo.
Thanks.
So when you talked about you've worked at resale stores before and you love that. So is it going to be a mixture of resale and new stuff, or is it just all new, or when I walk in, what am I going to see?
Yeah, it's going to be a mixture for sure. I'm going to have vintage clothing, and that is not going to be consignment. It's going to be mostly like me doing the sourcing for the clothing portion.
New, I say new vintage, but like new designed to look vintage, or is it actually going to be vintage?
No, actually vintage.
Oh, awesome.
Just, kind of from a lot of decades though. Like I would say 70s to 90s really is like the sweet spot. A lot of it will be unisex, oversized. I love like 100% cotton stuff, so I'm really going to be picky and seasonal about the clothes that I'm going to have.
You know, you made a lot of people feel very old when you just said the 90s is vintage.
I know. I mean, I was born in the 80s, but technically vintage is 25 years.
Sure. Is it really?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yes. When you can call something vintage when it's just 25 years old.
I'm so depressed right now.
I know. I know.
Okay, fair enough. Go on.
And so, yeah, that'll be the clothing. And then eventually I'd like to kind of jet off and do home decor, not huge furniture, but small home decor consignment.
Okay.
Because we've got like our wonderful women's clothing consignment stores in town.
Yeah.
But from the get-go, like I love rearranging my house and bringing in new lamps and pots and things like that. And so, but we didn't have the same concept of like the revolving home decor.
Yeah.
So I've always thought like, I want to do consignment home decor. That would be really fun.
And it sounds like your family played a pretty important, or your upbringing, I should say, played an important role in sort of steering you this way.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Always loved antique shops. And I just really love used things. Like I love, obviously the sustainability aspect of it, cutting back on like textile waste and
sure.
Just, throwing things out. It feels really good to, even if something like has a small hole in it or a stain, I still just kind of treasure it for that aspect of it. And then also it's got a history, and it's, all the shirts like I survived going and eating the world's largest hot dog, like that, somebody got that because they actually did it. And then you find it at a store and you're like, man, I didn't actually do this, but I'm like carrying on in this tradition and appreciating
I like that.
this thing. And I really like the history of clothing, and I really love that it's not perfect. That's like our family saying pretty much, is like, nobody's perfect, it's all right, we make mistakes. Important things are, like forgiving each other and moving on and growing. And I just like to carry that into what I wear and what I do too. It's just like, no, this is like, take it as it is.
You're really like living and breathing this. This is great.
I just love it.
Cool.
I fell in love with it at second glance. I didn't know much about it before, but I also learned that, you can get something older, like I said, maybe it's got that hole in it or whatever, but it's going to last you so much longer than something you just went down to like some fast fashion store. That also started to kind of frustrate me. Like I would buy clothes for the kids or myself at, a place at a mall, and then we can only wear it a couple times and it's done anyway, even kind of beyond repair, because the fabrics that they used aren't even good enough to be able to mend sometimes.
Sure.
And so I really, I learned about like what makes a quality brand and why brands are quality, and just learned a ton about different textiles and what I liked, what I think feels good, what's good for the environment. And so I just slowly started to put those in place, because I truly believe that it's just really hard to be really completely sustainable these days. Living like everything. So the small things that I know how to do and that I, or things that I learned about, I'll just start implementing those things slowly. And
so
I think that's how we make differences, is like baby steps.
Are you a bit of a nightmare to drive around with on a Saturday morning? Like if you see a garage sale, you're in.
Yes.
You're very slow.
Wait, stop.
Getting anywhere.
Did you see that sign?
You're like, oh my god, I'm gonna stop again. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So where you said, have you settled on a location?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm so excited about it. It's between Runway Fashion Exchange and Milk on Madison.
I love it.
It's where Wild Daisy Hair Salon used to be, and it has these amazing big windows. There's so much light.
And you were talking about the importance of shopping around, not shopping around, but looking for a specific location, and you really wanted it to be in downtown.
I did.
Why is that important to you?
Location.
Sure.
That, like, working at the shops I worked at in downtown and just seeing like the foot traffic patterns and just the experience. I mean, I'm a downtown shopper myself, so knowing what streets are like, kind of the main hub of activity and the restaurants bringing people. Like at second glance, it was cool. We would get the crowd that was waiting to get a seat at Block 15.
Yep.
Like it pays to have a good location.
Yeah.
And I just knew that was my kind of top priority.
Yeah. How long you been looking? How long you been planning?
Like almost, let's see, it's been about 8 months.
Okay.
And I was scouting places down. I mean, I've been looking for years and years. I drive by places like, oh, I'd love to have my shop there one day. But yeah, seriously, with like the real intent of opening something up, about 8 months.
Yeah.
And it took some patience. A lot of like, I would, canvas downtown all the time. See if I saw any new for rent signs up and windows.
But that's cool. Again, and one of the things that's really important to Corvallis, obviously, as you know, is that downtown area, right? And we see some stores that perhaps a place has gone out of business, and we hope to fill it as quick as possible. So it's super cool seeing new businesses coming in, and businesses like yours starting up, and it's kind of just so cool. Fun. Are you going to be selling kids clothing?
A little bit, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
We need some kids
I can't
clothing.
Have kids and not sell kids clothing.
Right.
It would be hurt. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll have a little bit of that.
So one of the deals about Chamber Chat, what we do here, obviously we want to talk about the business, and yours is new, and we want to learn more about it, and we'll stick stuff up on the web with the video. But we also like to learn about the people behind the business. So, you cool with us learning a little bit more about you?
Of course.
Yeah. So you mentioned a little bit earlier. Where'd you grow up? You said you moved away, back and forth. Where you been?
I've been on a journey.
All right.
So I was born in Canada, actually, in Winnipeg, but I only lived there for about 2 years before we moved to San Antonio, Texas.
That's quite a change.
Yeah, and then loved San Antonio. My parents ended up keeping their house there that they had when we lived there when I was about 3.
Why the move?
So my dad is a coach, so coaching is a bit like...
What's he coach?
Football.
Okay.
So you move a lot.
And Texas is not a bad place to coach football.
Yeah, he actually coached in, it was called the World League.
Okay.
It only lasted a few years. He was the one and only coach of the San Antonio Riders.
All right. Bit of history.
The league folded, and that's why we then moved to Seal Beach, California.
Okay.
So we're in Seal Beach, and then we moved here, actually. We were here for a couple years when I was in 4th and 5th grade. I went to Hoover, not Hoover anymore, but it was when I was there. Bessie Coleman. So, and then we moved, where did we move to? San Diego.
Okay.
For
so you're in California for some years, yeah.
5 years, 6 years.
It's not a bad place as well.
Loved it.
San Diego's
They dragged me kicking and screaming back here when I was a junior in high school, and then I finished school here.
You moved midway through high school?
Yeah.
That sucks.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
People were like, do you remember
parents.
People from high school? I'm like, no, I
didn't have any
friends.
friends.
An angry teenager, and I didn't want to make any friends. No, I did though. I loved my high school here, actually.
Which one did you go to?
I went to San Diego.
Oh, okay.
So an easier place to be new because it was so small that I met everyone the first day. You've met everybody at the school. So.
That's cool. Were you a good student?
Yeah. I always loved school.
What was your best subject?
History.
Oh yeah?
Love history.
Oh, that kind of makes sense with the vintage stuff.
Yeah.
What was your worst class?
Math.
You're just terrible at it.
Math and chemistry, the sciences that bring in any math. Hated. I love biology and life sciences. I really liked that. I wanted to be a marine biologist as a child.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
That's exactly what my daughter wants to be.
No way.
Yeah, I think she likes
You're in a good spot for it. Oregon State.
Hey, we're gonna just swim around with dolphins all the time. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's just what you do, but that's probably part of it at some point. But
my love of killer whales is what made me want to be a marine biologist. I saw Free Willy and I was stuck. I'm like,
I was right there in Astoria. Where it was filmed, or some part of it was filmed.
Yeah, and then Keiko, the actual whale, was in Newport.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So you go to school. So you mentioned earlier you have a couple kids. Was it 2 kids?
Yes, 2 kids. I have an 11-year-old 5th grader and a 5-year-old kindergartner.
Awesome. And so kindergarten.
Best.
So now they're out of the house for a decent amount of the day.
Exactly. That's another reason this was kind of perfect timing for me to open up a shop,
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So you don't know, it sounds like you moved around a little bit. Tell us about food. What's your favorite food? I used to phrase it like death meal plate. If you had one food left, right? You had one meal, what would your plate look like? What would be on it?
I've been watching some chamber chats to prep for this, and I knew you were going to ask me
These are tough questions. These are
biscuits.
Hard.
Biscuits are my favorite food.
What?
Like, if you put it in a dumpling form, and like chicken and dumplings I love.
That's not a meal?
Yeah, biscuits.
That's for you, that's a meal?
Yeah.
For real? That's sad.
My mom's from Alabama, and I grew up just eating the best biscuits. She's from Birmingham.
I used to live in Hoover.
No way! That's where my grandpa lived.
Hey!
My parents met at the University of Alabama. My dad's actually from like this area, but they met there.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. That's an amazing steak.
Like a good Southern meal is my favorite food. You know,
Yeah,
like fried okra, biscuits, like pepper sauce on it all. Just
funnily enough, Alabama is where so I'm from England originally, so like, you know, when it comes to things like tea, I'm very specific.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but that was the first place I really appreciated sweet tea.
It's pretty good.
It's good. It's good
so
stuff.
Sweet.
Off the side, and it sounds weird when you drive in. Like I lived in Hoover, but I was a district manager for the state, so I did a lot of driving.
Wow.
And it was so there would be little like you know, on the side of the road, little stands, you know, where they would sell it, like super dodgy. You never let your kids drink there now. However, it was amazing. The sweet tea there.
I know.
And there's a place there called Dreamland Barbecue, which does these. And again, I don't really eat with my fingers because, you know, we're British. You can't eat like a savage, and then that's ridiculous. You use a knife and fork. Come on, have some manners. But ribs. Oh, Alabama's good stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff.
So when you are, so you're there, you're chilling, you're eating your favorite meal. What type of music are you listening to on a nice, relaxing summer day?
Gosh, I wasn't prepared for this question.
Oh, you see, I'll throw a dinger in.
This is such a hard one because my music choices depend on my mood entirely.
If it was today,
I've been only listening to The Killers lately.
Oh.
I went to their concert in, I guess it was August.
Yeah.
And I just haven't stopped. It was at the Moda Center.
In Portland, yeah.
Man, it was amazing. I got to go to The Killers, and then the next night I went to the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, yeah, it's
it was a dream. It was a dream. So
now, who was the better concert? Just pure concert.
The Killers.
Yeah.
I mean, the Backstreet Boys they're pretty old at this point, and they performed.
How old do you think
they did a really good. They're almost 50. Can
you imagine how old that is?
Let's see. It was Howie's birthday the night of the concert I went to, and I think he was turning 50, maybe.
That must be terrible.
Sorry if I got that wrong, Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna watch this.
They're gonna watch it.
Yeah, the dozens of people that are gonna tune in and watch this.
Yeah, no, they are. For sure.
Could you imagine being nearly 50?
I mean, it's not that they're 50 that's so old. It's just that like they were up there dancing. Like they didn't even have backup dancers. They were just doing it all. And like they did a great job, but at the same time you're just sitting there going like, these are not the same Backstreet Boys, obviously. Like I'm not the same.
Okay.
I'm not a middle school girl anymore.
Let's move on. Let's just move on from this depressing topic. Oh, great.
It's life.
It is life, and it'll be over soon for some of us. Good Lord. So you mentioned you traveled. So where's the coolest place you've ever been? Not just lived, but been, vacation, whatever.
I got to go to Australia, which I still look back on. Speaking of me being a middle school girl, I went in 6th grade, and that was like so cool.
Just
I think a lot because like the whole season was different, and like just like adjusting to that dramatic of a time zone change was really cool. We got to do all the uber touristy things, and I just loved it. It was like just a warm, like welcoming place, and kind of laid back, but then still just an older feel than the United States. But also my brother and I, we traveled together when I graduated from high school. I don't know how I talked him into going with me. He was here at Oregon State and took a semester off, almost a full year, I think. And we went and traveled, and we started in Ireland. And we like didn't want to leave Ireland because it was
cool country.
Kind of the same, just warmth. We'd get lost, and somebody'd be like, "Yeah, I'll take you." And they totally change directions from where they were going and like walk with us miles to like this new place, introduce us to everybody there, give us all these recommendations in the meantime. And it kind of felt like the South to me in a way. Just
nice.
Really, everyone's really proud and of where they are, and even if it's like a really small town, and they just want you to like love it like they do. And I dug it. That was fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What about a place that's still on your bucket list?
I'd love to go to Greece. I like the history and also the scenery and, gosh, the food. I'd love to go to Greece.
Yeah.
That's always been on my list.
It's a cool place. Where is so if you could design your perfect day, like start to finish, you wake up, what are you doing? What's your day look like? Forget about things, responsible things like a job, all the sensible stuff. What do you want to do? What's your day look like?
I'm going to Disneyland.
That's your day?
I love.
What are you 12?
I love Disneyland.
How many times have you been?
Oh, countless times.
Oh, you lived in California?
Yeah. It was cheap back then too.
Yeah.
Like all my friends' birthdays were at Disneyland. All of my birthdays were at Disneyland.
Really?
I mean, we could hear the fireworks there at night from where we lived. Like we lived really close. So, I don't know. The older I've gotten, like my husband and I went to Disneyland a few years ago by ourselves.
Yeah.
And being there just with him, I kind of was like, man, there's a different side to Disney too. That's all the really delicious food and
Was
drinks.
that the first time you went without, like with him, with just the two of you?
Yeah, no kids.
Yeah.
And so when you're there with kids, it's like you're kind of it's fun, but you're also in like survival mode. Like, let's make sure everybody eats, but it can't be too expensive, so you have all your snacks
good luck
packed,
with that.
and you don't sit it down at restaurants and like enjoy moments. And,
Right.
But with him, like we made reservations at some of the restaurants that I'd never been to before that are actually so delicious, and obviously the environment is. I love themes.
Yeah.
Anything that's themed, and so appreciating like the small details of what they've put in there, even to like the landscape.
So let me ask you this: you've got kids now. What is an acceptable way, or what's a good age for a kid to go to Disneyland? Because we went actually back in April. We took our teenagers, and it was cool. It was just like, oh, right on, the kids, and they're old enough to appreciate some of the stuff. And by the way, it's supposed to be the happiest place on earth, also the most expensive place on earth.
I know.
Nowadays.
I know.
But I also saw like people taking like 1-year-olds around and 2-year-olds.
That is the worst idea.
That ruins it for everyone.
The worst idea.
What's a good age for your kid to go?
I used to say 3 because I was like, okay, they might remember some things. They can go on some of the rides that are low key. I don't know. But now I'm like teenagers. Like go with your teenagers so that you can send them off on their own, and then you can go to the nice sit down restaurant.
Plus, you can you go. Mom's gonna sit in the bar.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get a couple drinks, and so we'll go from there.
Not the bar, the Blue Bayou specifically, the Blue Bayou restaurant.
Oh.
The one that's connected to Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. We went to like I said, we went in April. We took our kids there, and we got to do. And it was the first time I'd ever been. Actually, it was the first time any of us had ever been.
Yeah.
And my wife grew up in Sacramento, so I'm like, you got really no excuse not to have gone. Regardless of the cost, which was outrageous. It was just cool I have never seen an organization or a place, theme park, whatever, that has been so designed to move people.
It's unbelievable.
Like just getting them through lines and just the sheer mass of humanity.
Our family watches a lot of like YouTube videos about behind the scenes Disney and stuff like that.
Probably not good, huh?
No, it makes me, when we go, it makes me pay attention to like the small details, like the garbage cans that Walt designed himself that are designed to keep smell in, and
they never overflow.
Even something like that, they never overflow. Everything in Tomorrowland that's planted, you can eat because Walt thought that it was important that in the future our landscape could actually feed people too.
Is that true?
Yeah. So everything, all of the landscape there is like an edible plant in Tomorrowland only.
Are you actually allowed to eat it?
I don't think so.
They don't let you eat it, but you could.
The idea, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you could just go snacking on the foliage.
Nope.
That's great. What so as we kind of wrap up here, we talk about the last couple of years, and you referenced it a couple of times about COVID and stuff like and I think it's fair to say it's been a pretty crappy couple of years for most people, especially business people, right? So when we talk about professionally, maybe first, and then personally, what's something good that's come out of COVID for you this last 2-3 years?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, like I said, I think COVID was what pushed me to not really be afraid of the failure aspect of having a business. There was one point where my husband and I both had lost our jobs, and so we were kind of like, okay, what do we do now? Because you can't just give up, right? You have to get creative and figure out well, you can see this as, something that's gonna just send you down the pits, and you throw your hands up and it's depressing and horrible, or what do we want to change now? We have this opportunity to kind of have a fresh slate of what career path. Are we happy with our career paths? Are we not doing something that we always said we were going to do by this point in our life? Is something holding us back? Because now's the time. There's nothing tying us down. We knew we wanted to stay in Corvallis. We couldn't just move. And so it was just kind of that getting creative, which so many businesses did, which I loved
really cool
to see all the swaps to just people who created online stores within
the outdoor seating.
The outdoor seating.
Yeah, I know. It's super cool.
I loved watching that, just the pivoting.
How did it change you personally as well?
I think that I realized that I did operate a lot out of I can't do that. That's too risky. That's just out of fear of
you talked yourself
not
out of
being
stuff?
Able to. I talked myself out of a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Just I don't know. Just there was so much of the breakdown of society that shook me up a lot personally. Actually, it would take a whole day of us driving around the state for me to probably expound on all the things that did to my inner being. And a lot of it was good. A lot of it, it was just so jarring at first, and it was so sad. It was really, really sad for the kids. My kids are so social, and that aspect was really hard. But then the growth that's come out of it for everybody in the family that I can see has been pretty wonderful. And a lot of it had to do with just we don't have to live in this box anymore. Look, we're all forced outside of our comfort zones and our boxes, and we're surviving, and we're gonna be okay, and we're being more creative, and we're taking big leaps. And
it's almost like you're forced to become that person you didn't know you could be.
Seriously, you just get kind of stuck in your mundane kind of rat race of a life sometimes. And if a pandemic couldn't shake you out of that, then I don't know
no kidding.
what would have. But I think in a lot of ways it took that for me and my husband both to.
That's awesome. That's a really good answer.
And then make moves on them instead of just talking about it.
How do people get a hold of you? When's the store? How do we want to know all about this stuff.
All right.
So what's your contact, or whatever you want to do?
I've got an email address that is the best contact for me right now, and it's 1972co .vintagehomebody@gmail.
And we'll stick that in the link.
Okay. And then I've got a website up and running. My Instagram is kind of where I do most of my communicating and updating. But I hope that November 18th will be my grand opening day. It's before Small Business Saturday, and I just wanted to be open for the holiday season. Are we
hoping
sounds fun
for a reason, or that's just a random day, or?
That's just a random day, because I didn't want to open on right on Black Friday or the day before Small Business Saturday. I don't want to throw myself into the fire immediately.
Probably good. So November 18th.
Yeah, November 18th.
That's awesome.
But I am going to be doing the trick or treating.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be open.
Super excited about that.
But you'll be there. You'll be outside.
Me and my giant spider and my kids will be there.
I love it. So stop on, what's, one more time, what's the address going to be?
254 Southwest Madison.
Awesome, just down from Runway.
Yeah.
Super excited, A, to meet you, and, you know, being a part of the chamber, and just, honestly, just being a part of the business community here. It's super cool to see new businesses open. You're obviously doing things the right way. And, yeah, November 18th.
I'm so excited.
Gonna be there.
Come see me.
All right, guys, we will see you on another episode of Chamber Chat. See you later.